Opinions and stories around the game we love, told by your favorite storytellers. Stay up to date with all things cricket. Subscribe to Cricbuzz's YouTube channel and press that bell icon now.
A flurry of boundaries by Harmanpreet Kaur at the end wasn't enough for India to chase down the total of 260. Let's dissect India's first loss of the tournament here on Cricbuzz. Well, Mitali Raj won the toss and elected to bowl first, and they were able to make an early breakthrough with Susie Bates being run out. But one thing that we know about this New Zealand side, the top order do certainly score plenty of runs for them. And again, one of them fired, Amy Satterthwaite, with 75 off 84. She was well supported by Amelia Kerr. And Katie Martin at the end with 41 off 51 deliveries. However, India did really well to be able to claw it back at the end. New Zealand were looking like they were going to score that 280, 290 total that we saw very similar between Australia and England. But India were able to pick up 5 for 31 at the end, just to peel it back to something potentially chaseable. As for India, they made a change at the top. They dropped Shafali Verma and they brought in Yastika Bhatia. And unfortunately, it was a nervous start by India. They just didn't get the scoreboard going in the right direction. The required run rate started at 5.22. And as the overs started to tick on, that went up and it put pressure on the middle to late order. Unfortunately for India, no one in the top order except for Harmanpreet Kaur with 71 off 63 could really manage to find the boundary and build a partnership. In the end, New Zealand were able to bowl India out and win by 62 runs. Let's look at the positives of things that we've learnt from this Indian side in their second match. They were able to find players that could bowl at the death. They were able to execute their Yorkers. Pooja Vastrika, Julian Goswami, Meghna Singh, Rajaswari Gaikwad again doing really well, as we expect her to do in this tournament, but also against New Zealand. Vastrika is an absolute star. We didn't see her in the first game bowl because of a foot injury, and there was question marks of whether she would be able to have an impact given that she didn't bowl in that first game. She was able to do completely the opposite, was even on a hat-trick at one stage. She is a star. She is a future star, maybe the star so far in this tournament for India. On a negative note, India's top order just haven't fired yet. Yes, they made a change with Shafali Verma, which I thought they made. It was a brave call, but Smriti Mandhana just seems to be pegged down, can't seem to penetrate that offside field, and it's putting pressure on. They need Smriti Mandhana to go big, and that will ease the tension for the players coming in. Dipti Sharma, Mitali Raj, Harmanpreet Kaur. I have to go to Pooja Vastrika again. I said a lot about her in the previous match, but I was so impressed with what she was able to do from a bowling point of view. 4 for 34 off 10 was so good, just because of what the situation that India faced. She picked up key wickets as well. We've got to remember that she picked up Amy Satterthwaite and Devine. Amy Satterthwaite going on to score 75. So if she had stayed out there, New Zealand would have definitely got over and closer to that 300 mark. As for an honourable mention, or maybe the player of the match, which in the end went to Amy Satterthwaite, I thought she batted really well. She understood the conditions. We heard her talk about the fact that she wanted to spend as much time in the middle. She used her feet really smartly against the spinners. Against the West Indies, she kind of sat in the crease. This time she used her feet to come at the bowlers and was able to score a lot more freely because of that. She's got a strong bottom hand and she used it perfectly. She did give a chance, albeit half a chance, but apart from that, it was a pretty good innings. From an Indian perspective, we've got to talk about Harmanpreet Kaur. A lot of discussion about should she come into this tournament, should she hold her spot. Everyone talks about the 171 against Australia, but since then she hasn't really been able to go past that 50 mark very often. But the fact that she was able to accelerate her innings, 71 off 63 deliveries, a strike rate of 112, just shows you that Harmanpreet Kaur is back, but she just needs someone to go with her. The moment of the day isn't necessarily a skill or an innings or an over or a spell. I'm going to go to the toss. Now, it's something a little bit different. It's funny, India won, Mitali Raj won and said, look, we want to chase because we think the dew factor may be an issue for our spinners. Can totally understand it. But when you look at the women's games here at Hamilton, surprisingly, before this match, 8 out of the 11 occasions, the team that has lost the toss has won the game. Now it goes to 9 out of 12. You think, or you would expect in a World Cup, that whoever wins the toss, they want to put pressure straight back onto the opposition. India had a wonderful chance. The sun was shining. There wasn't as much grass coverage on this pitch compared to the last game that was held here. And I think India might have just missed a trick, albeit I understand the reasons why. But maybe Mitali Raj and the Indian coaching staff will look back on that and think, could we have batted first and put pressure on New Zealand? Looking at the points table, India now just slip out of that top 4. I know it's early on in the tournament, but we've seen how England, how the West Indies have gone about it. Every match is so crucial. And just to think, in a few days' time on Saturday, India will take on West Indies, a side that are up and about, a side that are enjoying themselves, enjoying their cricket, and it's certainly showing out on the park. It will be a big occasion for India. Can they get over the West Indies? Well, they've got some time to regroup.